So this is the top achievers, and I couldn't just choose the top 3 because all of these people got 90%, and then I felt like I didn't want to just have the people who did it in the quickest time, because I feel like if you took longer to do it and you got 90, I'm just as proud of you. So these people all were our top achievers in the quiz last week. Those of you who are new, you do a quiz every Thursday, and this is based on their first attempt. So there were people who got 100% in their second or third attempt, but this is people who got these marks on their first attempt. So very well done to everyone here. I know that your names are mushed together with your surnames. Okay, guys, just remember you need to stay on mute. Okay. I know your name is mushed together with your surnames, but I was scared that I was breaking them up in the wrong place, and then you would be sad that I was messing up your names. So that is why they look like this. Okay, so big well done. Yay! Okay, let's jump into functions. Yes, let's go. Okay, so we're going to start when we're talking about functions. So in grade 10, so at the moment, I think we've sort of briefly spoken about, I'm just going to move to some blank space here for myself for a second. We've briefly spoken about what your functions look like in grade 10. So grade 10, basically we set this foundation of work that you build on in grade 11 and then into grade 12. Okay. Now in grade 9, we learned the straight line graph, which is what we're going to quickly go over today just to refresh our memories. Okay. So your straight line graph looks something like that. And can anyone tell me what the formula is for our straight line graph? We will be going over it again today, but I'm sure some of you must remember. What is our formula for the straight line graph? Yes, guys. Beautiful. Y equals mx plus c. If you're doing the y equals x plus c, also totally fine. Then Cele, don't forget that x that needs to be over there. Nice. Okay. Cool. So that's our straight line graph. Okay, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Then on Thursday, we are going to introduce this guy. I'm going to draw both options of this dude. So this is called the parabola. The parabola is basically like a happy face, looks like that, or a sad face that looks like that. Okay. And in grade 10, they stay sort of symmetrical like this around your y-axis. And then in grade 11 and 12, they move all over the place. But in grade 10, they're nice and simple. So that's the parabola. So that's what we're going to start talking about on Thursday. Then we're going to bring in one of my favorite graphs, which is called the hyperbola, which looks like this. Okay, that's the hyperbola. We're going to bring that in, and then we are going to bring in this graph, which is called the exponential. So we are going to be on this topic for the next 4 weeks. We've got 8 lessons on it. We're going to spend about two lessons on each of these graphs, and then we're going to try and combine them all together. Shadow, how can I help? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I've completely butchered it. Yeah, if you're talking, you need to unmute. Okay. There we go. Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
How can I help?
Ma'am, is those hyperbolas the same as the trigonometry equations or functions?
No. So your trig functions, which is the course we're going to do after this, your sine and cos graphs, they look something like this. And your tan graph looks like this.
Okay. Thank you.
They always like to spice things up, trig. Okay. All right, so let's jump into our straight line stuff. So now we've already spoken about this. Your equation for your straight line graph is y equals mx plus c. My questions to you are, first of all, what does the m stand for? What does the m stand for? Gradient. Beautiful, guys. Yes. Monica, I think you were trying to answer that, but you were snuck in there in the chat. Okay. Kilo, I'll go back in a second once we've spoken about this, okay? So the M stands for gradient. Does anyone remember the formula that we use to find the gradient? So what does M equal? How do I calculate it? Monica, are you able to answer this one? Emmanuel,
No, ma'am, it
yes.
was a mistake.
Nice. It's our change of y over our change of x. Beautiful. Nice job. Okay. What does the C stand for in this equation? Yes. Good. It is our y-intercept. What is a y-intercept, guys? What is a y-intercept? Tell me, what is it? I don't understand what it is. You're going to be like, it's just the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the y-intercept, but I want to know, what is the y-intercept? Okay, and Corsi, it's a good start. It involves your y-axis. What about your y-axis? Where the line crosses the y-axis. Yes, good. Okay, now my thing is where the line crosses the y-axis, so it's where it crosses the y-axis. That's beautiful. I like how you're saying. What does that mean my x value would be at the y-intercept? What is my x value for the y-intercept? Think about it. Let me draw a little graph for you. Let's say that that's my y-intercept is 4. What is my x value at that point? Yeah, what's my x? What's my x value? Yes, there we go. It's not a trick question. It's 0. For your y-intercept, your x is always going to be 0 because it's when it's crossing that line, and that is when x is going to be 0. Okay, and it's the same situation as if we're looking at the x-intercept. So if I was looking at this point over here, that's my x-intercept. Okay, and my x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So those are two really important things we need to know. Okay, so that over there is my y-intercept because it's where it passes through my y-axis, and that is when x is 0, and where it passes through my x-axis, then that is my x-intercept, and so that is when y is equal to 0. So we get to this point here. Okay. Okay, I'm quickly going to zoom back to where we were. If you take a quick screenshot, and then I will go back to our class. Just give me a thumbs up once you've got it. Cool. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at drawing a straight line graph. So we're going to try and use that information that we've spoken about. We're going to look at this graph over here. Okay. Yeah, how can I help?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, can you just re-explain there by the y-intercept? I didn't understand properly there.
So your y-intercept is just the point where your line crosses over your y-axis, because that's your y-axis and that's your x-axis. And at that point, my x value would be 0, because that would be 0 there. So my y-intercept is just where it crosses the y-axis, and it's when x is equal to 0.
So in every equation, is it always going to be 0?
For your y-intercept, x will always be 0 for your y-intercept.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. Cool. So if we're trying to sketch this graph, let's try and sort of break down this equation a little bit. So first things first, I want to understand what I'm looking at over here. In this equation, so I've got y equals 2x plus 1. The first question to you is, what is my gradient? What is my gradient? Good. Nice job, guys. Yes. Beautiful answers coming in. Okay. So in this case, my gradient is 2. okay? And because it's a positive gradient, we know that our graph is going to be going up. It's going to be an increasing graph. Remember, we read graphs from left to right. So I'm reading this graph from this point to this point, and so it's going up. It's going up the hill. Okay. That 1 is telling me that that is my y-intercept. Okay, cool. So there are multiple ways that we can go about doing this. There are very quick ways that we can do it, and then there are slightly longer ways. But I'm going to go through the slightly longer way because it's going to work with everything that we do. Okay, so first things first, let's plot our y-intercept because we can see it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to plot the y-intercept. And when I say plot, I just mean we're going to put a dot at that y-intercept. So over here, I'm going to put a dot at 1 because that is my y-intercept. Okay. I now need to find another point on this graph. So you've got lots of different methods, and your different teachers will tell you to do it in different ways, which is totally fine. In a test, you don't have to do it a specific way. You do it the way that you understand best. Okay? So one of the ways is you could do it by finding your x and y intercept, and another way is just by finding 2 points on the graph. So, for example, if I want to know what y is going to equal when x is equal to 2, what does y equal? How would I figure that out? If x was equal to 2 and I wanted to know what y was equal to, how would I go about figuring that out? What could I do? I'm open to suggestions. We're going to draw the graphs. At the moment, this is just a Cartesian plane, but it will be there. Okay, so I'm telling you though that x is 2. X is not 0. X is 2. And I want to know what does y equal. Yes, Alyssa. Great. Great. Okay, let's see if we can explain that though. So I'm telling you that the x value is 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute. Okay, and we can choose any value for x. We can choose whatever we want because we're putting that value in. That's our input value. Okay, and so we're saying what is y when x is equal to 2. Let me write our equation here first. Okay, so y is equal to 2x plus 1. And I'm saying x is 2. So I'm saying, well, 2 times 2 is 4. That's 4 plus 1, which means y would be 5. And so if I wanted to write that as a set of coordinates, I would say my x value is 2 and my y value is 5. The same way as for our y-intercept, I would have written my x value is 0 and my y value is 1. And then I can plot that. So I can say 2 and 5 and draw a dot. Okay, cool. How can I help?
Ma'am, where did we get our x equals 2?
You can choose. You can choose any value for x. So generally, if you stick it with like the smaller numbers like 1, 2, and 3, it's generally something that is a little bit lower, and so you'll get a nice value on your graph. But you can choose any value you want for x, anything you want. So Michaela, is that a little bit better? Sorry guys, I didn't know that my mic was causing issues. I'll try and hold it closer to my mouth. Sandasile, how can I help?
Oh, ma'am, I was also trying to see your mic today. It's unusual, ma'am.
I know, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's being weird today. I'll just hold it right up to my mouth and hopefully it'll be okay.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks. Mikaden, how can I help?
Oh, ma'am, why did we write, for your plot y-intercept, why did we write 0 and 1 again?
So that means that my x value would be 0 because my y-intercept, my x is always going to be 0. And my y value was 1 because it was part of my equation. They told me that the y was 1.
Oh, okay, thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Now, once I've got these 2 points that I've plotted, all I have to do is take my ruler and I'm going to join them up. I'm going to put arrows on both ends, and then I'm going to label the graph. So I'm going to say this is y equals 2x plus 1. So all I'm doing is I'm plotting basically what I'm seeing. How can I help? I'm so worried I'm going to mess up saying your name. Can you say your name for me first so that I know that I don't mess it up again?
Mogogovale.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to butcher your name, my sweetheart. I'm so sorry. I will try though. Tell me, how can I help?
No, you can just say Pretty. That's my first name, but it's not a problem, ma'am.
Oh no, I feel bad. I want to use your proper name. I will try though. How can I help? What's your question?
So, ma'am, here by number 2, thereby x is equals to 2. What does y stand for? When we substitute, we say y is equals to 2x plus 1. And then down there, you say 2 into 2. Do we multiply there so it becomes 4 so we can add up to 1 and then it becomes y is equals to 5?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're multiplying that because in our equation, it's 2x and that 2x means 2 times x. So if I'm substituting an x in there, then it would be 2 times 2.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. No problem. All right, guys, let's try another one. Let's try one by yourselves. Okay. Before you jump into this one, I just want to talk to you about a couple of things. Firstly, our gradient is -2, which is telling me that I'm going to have a decreasing line. It's going to go down. Okay, so just remember that. If your line doesn't go down, you have made a mistake. And just remember that's your y-intercept over there. Okay, I would like everyone to give this a try. Draw it out. See how it goes. You're welcome to draw it and show me in your camera, and I can see if you're on the right track. Happy with all of that. So let me just move my pictures out so I can see your faces. Let's see how this goes. Just viewer, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, can you please go up again so I can quickly take a screenshot?
Okay, I'm giving you 5 seconds.
There's nothing. Look.
Thank you, ma'am.
No worries.
He thinks there's sugar inside you. Bring.
Guys, please can you remember to stay on mute? It's super important. If we get background noise, it's really distracting to everyone else. Okay. Yeah, I'm not giving you an X value. You have to think about what X value you want. Okay, Tashfiwa number 2. Second Tashfiwa, how can I help?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, how do we know which one is the X value?
So you have to choose an X value and you're going to substitute that value into the equation. So you can choose anything, like you can say X is 2, X is 1, X is 3. It's up to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, Wami, I have not heard from you in a long time. How can I help?
Ma'am,
Yes.
should the value be positive or negative?
What value?
The X value.
The
The
X
one that you
value.
put yourself. Yes.
I would put in I mean, it's up to you, but I always find it easier to put in a positive, but you could put in a negative if you want to.
Okay, ma'am.
Totally up to you. Sandasile, can I help? Nope. There we go. Okay.
Sorry, ma'am, it was a mistake.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. These things happen. Yeah, so you're going to basically be finding what your coordinates are so that you can plot them. And remember, if you're needing help or if you're wanting me to check something, just let me know. You're welcome to show me something, ask for some guidance. I'm happy with any of that. And then I will go through this with you on the board so that you can see what's going on. We should get an idea of what your graph looks like. I always like to sort of get a little sketch. I like to draw it a little bit Canva, I can't see yours. Let me just zoom through. Okay, Canva, I'm seeing it. Can you turn it around for me? Thank you. Okay, so you've used an x value of -4. No. So your y value is looking great, but and I like the shape of your graph, but your x intercept is in the wrong place. If anyone else needs confirmation on their graphs, just let me know. Let me know in the chat, and then I can have a little look-see. I can't be on your pretty faces and my screen at the same time. So I'm either teaching or I'm looking at your faces. So we've got to make choices sometimes. But I see you are all furiously at work, which is great. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one more minute on this. So I'm going to give you until 25 past. And then I'm going to start talking through this. Okay, the direct messages that are coming on. Just be careful when you're giving me answers, guys, like y is equal to or x is equal to. Make sure you're telling me what you're dealing with. So if you're saying y is equal to -4, is that because it's the y-intercept? And so then it should be a gradient. So then you should be writing it as 0, -4. When we're dealing with graphs and we're dealing with coordinates are really important to write. All right, guys, I'm going to go through this step by step. So anyone who's feeling confused still, please listen very carefully as we go through this. All right. Okay, first step is we want to find our y-intercept. Okay, that's this number over here. Now, sometimes that's 0, and then our y-intercept is 0, 0, and that's okay. All right, which means our x value is 0, and our y value is -4. Okay, this over here is our y-intercept. That is what that guy is, because that's our c. Okay, so if I want to plot that point, I'm going to find 0 on my x-axis, and I'm going to go to -4 on my y-axis, and I'm going to draw that plot. Now, if you got that point on your side, wherever you are, I would like you to give yourselves a tick. Okay, because that's excellent. That's a good start. I want you to get into the habit of writing it as coordinates, but I'm really happy if you got that -4. Okay, next step. We are going to choose a value for x. Now, it depends on what you choose as a value for x. It could be whatever you have chosen. I'm going to choose 1. Okay, so I'm going to say if x is equal to 1, what does y equal? Okay, but you could choose whatever number you have chosen. Okay, I'm going to say, well, y is equal to -2 times +1 minus 4. So y is equal to -2 minus 4, which means y is equal to -6. And so my coordinates would be 1 and -6. Now, if you had a 2, it would be 2 and -8. If you had a 0, it would be 0 and -4. So it's those types of things. It depends on what you put your x value in as. Sia, how can I help?
I'm a bit confused where you got the 1.
The 1. I'm just choosing a value for x. You can literally choose any value you like. So it generally is easiest to go with like 1 or 2, but you could choose any number you want. Okay, so this is something that we're choosing.
Thanks, man.
Okay, no problem. So now I'm going to then plot that. So I've got 1 and -6, which takes me down here. And you would have a different number. So it depends on what you worked yours out as. If you put it in as -1, you would have had -2 times -1, which is +2. +2 minus 4 would give me -2. So it just depends, like then yours would be over there. It depends on what you've plotted. Okay. Then all you have to do is take your ruler, connect the dots, and in this case, oh goodness, we'll go through -2, and we would have that -2 value of the derivative. Okay. Now in the test, they may say to you, I do see that we have questions. I just want to talk through this quickly, and then maybe it might clear the air for some of you. In the test, they may say, draw this graph and give the axes, like the x-intercept and the y-intercept, to give the intercept values. Okay, we already know what our y-intercept is, so we would say that that's 0, -4. If I wanted to find what my x-intercept is, so if I wanted to find what that value is, what would I do? How would I find my x-intercept? How do I find that? What do I substitute in if I want to know what those coordinates are? Think about what we said right in the beginning. How would we find the x-intercept? What would I do? Good. Yes, I'm going to make y equal to 0. Exactly. Okay. If I want to know what my x-intercept is, I'm going to make y equal to 0. So I'm going to say 0 is equal to -2x minus 4. And then I just work it out like a normal equation. So I'm going to move that -4 over. So 4 is equal to -2x. I'm going to divide both by -2. And I'm going to see that x is equal to -2. So when x is -2, y is 0. Okay. So we just kind of do it step by step like that. And that's, if they ask you for your intercepts, then you would have to work that out, and then you would have to say -2, 0. But only if they ask you for them. Okay. Okay, let's try and go through these questions. Canva, go ahead.
Ma'am, may I please ask, ma'am, back on the graph, ma'am, why is there a dot on -2, ma'am, on the y-axis?
That's what I just spoke about now. That's this whole situation here.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Muketwa, how can I help?
I was also asking the same question. Yes.
Okay. Okay. No problem. Okay. I'm going to try my best here. Moko Kubali. I know I've messed it up, but I tried.
Yes, ma'am, you said it correct. Ma'am, I just wanted you to re-explain there by the x interval. I didn't get it nicely.
Okay, so when we're looking for our x-intercept, the most important thing to do is to just make your y equal to 0, because when it's our x-intercept, our y is 0. When it's our y-intercept, our x is 0. Make your y equal to 0. Solve it as a normal equation, and then all you have to do is find your coordinates. Then I know x is -2 and y is 0. Okay. Okay. Nikaden.
Ma'am, I don't know where I went wrong, because when I was trying to solve for y, I said 2 brackets -2, and then I closed the brackets and I said -4. And then from there I got -4, and then another -4, and then I got -8.
Okay, so if you had -2 and then in brackets -2, that would have become +4. So +4 minus 4 would have just become 0. So it was just a sign thing.
And then, ma'am, how would you plot that if that gave you 0 for y?
So that's basically what you were doing, was you were plotting this point over here. When x is -2, y would be 0.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Sia.
Now, ma'am, you answered my question. Just forgot to command down.
Okay. Noni.
Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I wanted to know, how is x equals to 1?
I'm just choosing x is equal to 1. That you just choose whatever x value you want to substitute in to find an equivalent y value. You can choose any value you want.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Portia. Oh, Portia, I can barely hear you, sweetheart.
Ma'am, I wanted
Yeah.
to ask how you got the -1 and -2 on the graph.
Oh, okay, this point over here.
No, ma'am, the one below it.
This one, the blue one.
Yes,
This one
ma'am.
over here is -1, -2. That green dot that I've just drawn there. That's just, I was just substituting in a value of x is equal to -1.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, guys, I know that there are still hands, but we have to keep on moving. Otherwise, we're just not going to get through anything today. So I'm sorry that I haven't been able to get to everyone who has their hand up for this question. I will try and focus on your names when I see you if you have questions in the next one. Okay, it's not because I don't want to answer. I'm just worried about our time. Okay. But remember, if you're needing more help, you're welcome to send messages through to Yolanda. She will always be able to help you. That is what our TA is there for. She's here to guide you and help you, okay? Okay, guys, and again, I have to stress this, you have to keep yourselves on mute. I don't want us to get to the situation where we're in like the grade 7 class where they have to be on mute all the time and you're never able to speak. But the background noise is very distracting to the other learners. So please be careful and make sure you're on mute so that everyone can hear, okay? Okay, guys, the x-intercept, all the thing is with x-intercept is that y has to be equal to 0. That's the most important thing to take from that. Okay. All right, so now in this question, the thing that makes it a little bit more difficult is that we don't have a y-intercept. Our y-intercept, if I did have a number here, it would just be +0. Okay, so I just want you to keep that in mind. And I know that it looks a little bit more scary because we've got a fraction involved, and fractions can sometimes be a bit scary, but I want you to follow the exact same steps that we did previously. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to find your y-intercepts. Don't fall like any trap. Don't overthink it. It's going to be as simple as it seems. Okay. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to choose a value for x, and I would recommend choosing something that would make it a whole number. So, but it's up to you, and find y. Okay, so basically what you're doing by doing that is you are finding another set of coordinates. And then the third thing that we're going to add here is that I would like you to find the x-intercept. Okay, and in some questions, you don't have to do number 2. You can just do number 1 and you can do number 3. But you'll see why it's important to know how to do number 2 in this question, hopefully, if you fall for my trap. So I want you to give us a go. First, find your y-intercept. And when I say find your y-intercept, I mean I want the coordinates for that y-intercept. Okay? And just remember while you're working through this, that for your y-intercept, x is equal to 0. And for your x-intercept, y is equal to 0. Just keep that in mind. Okay? And give this a go. Give me the coordinates for 1, give me the coordinates for 2, and give me the coordinates for 3. You'll be fine. I recommend that because it's a half, that's why I'm saying try think of a nice number for x. So I like make x2 or make x4 or make x6. Like make it something which is an even number so that it won't be a fraction, basically. But it's up to you. You can choose what you want to do. Yes, fx is exactly the same as y equals mx. Totally. It's just a way of labeling that function. So it's basically calling the graph f. So this is the same as saying y. I'm just trying to introduce you to a little bit of different things. Okay, everyone should be okay with step 1 though. What is our y-intercept? What is my plus c? What is my plus c? Yeah, so what are the coordinates of my y-intercept? Good, so the y is definitely plus 0. There we go, circle. Exactly. Our y-intercept, our x value is always 0. And our plus c tells us what our y-intercept is, and we don't have a plus c, which means it's plus 0. So our y-intercept is just 0, 0. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. I know graphs make it seem like they want to be difficult, but once you understand the basics, I promise they're not so bad. There we go. Some light bulb moments. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to plot that point. I'm going to plot my 0, 0. Who thinks they can give me an idea? Yes, well, why be 0 if x is, yes, exactly. Y will be 0 if x is 0. Exactly, 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 exactly. Okay, so for number 2, who thinks they can talk us through what they think that we should do for number 2? Who thinks they're feeling confident with number 2 and wants to give it a go? You can choose any value for x here. No one feeling brave tonight. There we go. Okay, so I can choose any value I want for x. That's up to me. So if I wanted to make x 8, I could make x 8, but I'm going to make x equal to 4. Okay, but remember, you can choose what you want x to be equal to. I'm going to say x is equal to 4. So what this is saying is that I want to know what y is if x is 4. So y is equal to a half times x. And we're saying that it's not x, it's meaning 4, negative a half. So that means that y is going to be equal to negative a half times 4, which is negative 2. And that we can just put on our calculator. Okay. But remember, when we're dealing with graphs, we have to deal with coordinates. Okay. And so we have to say that our x value is 4 and our y value is negative 2. So we have to write those coordinates in. But you could have chosen any value you want for x because it's an equation. With any input you have, you will have an output. So if you had chosen to make x equal to 6, for example, okay, then y would be equal to negative a half times 6, which means y would be equal to negative 3. So my coordinates would be 6 and negative 3. If I wanted x to be 8, I would have said x is equal to 8, y is equal to negative a half times 8, which is equal to negative 4. So my coordinates would be 8 and negative 4. It doesn't matter what you choose your x value to be in. What's important is that you get this coordinate set to be able to plot this. Yes, good. And for number 3, our x-intercept is when y is 0. We actually already know that when y is 0, x is 0, because we've already done that up there. But let's put it in an equation and show that it would be the same. Okay, so we're saying, well, we're going to make y equal to 0. So y is 0, half x. Just the normal equation. We always divide by our coefficient when we're trying to find x. Negative a half cancels with negative a half. 0 divided by anything is 0. And so what that's telling us is that when x is 0, y is 0. That's all. So all it means is we're substituting in our value of y is equal to 0 into the equation. And then we get to plot these points. So the first point I plotted already was 0, 0. The second point that we would plot would be whatever you worked out for number 2. So I'm going to plot 4 and negative 2. And then if I had to plot this pink one again, it would be exactly where I plotted my green one, which would be back over there. And all I have to do is take my ruler, join my dots. Oh, sorry, it's tough for me to. Oh, it's going to be a bit messy. Sorry, guys. Join my dots together and write my equation, give it its name. negative a half x. And that's the whole thing. So just do it step by step. Find your y-intercept, choose a value for x to find y, and then find your x-intercept. And for lots of these graphs, if there isn't a plus 0, you can just do step 1 and step 3. You can leave out step 2 completely. If there's Don't worry, Tiamo. I'll give you some more practice. Yeah, I promise. So this is actually looking at the dual intercept method. The problem is that when you have plus 0, so when c is equal to 0, like in this question, we can't use the dual intercept method because we'll get 0, 0 for both. So that's why we need to know a different way of doing it, because it's only going to work for graphs where we have a y-intercept. Does the line have to overlap? Does it have to overlap what? I don't know what the line is meant to be overlapping. Well, wait, so can you give me a better idea of what you're asking me? Don't worry, Lorato. It's our first lesson of this new section. Don't panic. Everything is okay. Nothing's on fire. We're all fine. It's day 1 of a new section. It's perfectly normal to feel a little bit confused. Don't panic. Okay. Okay, let's go back to this one and let's draw a different graph. Let's draw. Get rid of this, guys.
Sorry, ma'am. Mokokubale has a question.
Sure. Hit me up. What's your question?
Oh, ma'am, can you just go back to the other page so I can ask while looking at it? Sorry. Yes, ma'am, you see there by the first one, by the y-intercept, I understand moving to the next step where you have to choose a value. Then I start getting confused by the third x-intercept, ma'am. That's where I get confused. I don't know how to calculate it there. I don't know which step to follow from there.
Okay, so for our x-intercept, all we're doing is we're making y equal to 0. So in this equation over here, we're just making that y over there, we're making it equal to 0. And we're solving for x.
So, ma'am, when I say, when I say y is equal, x is equals to 0, I have to divide by the number that I got by the second one.
Yeah, so when you're solving for x, you always land up dividing by the coefficient of x. So all that's happening here is I'm dividing by the negative half on both sides. And so I have 0 divided by negative a half, which just gives me a half.
So, ma'am, do I always have to divide like that?
You always have to divide by the coefficient of x. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Because like I'm a bit confused. I don't know how I have to move from there.
It's okay. It will come with time. That's just working on your equation skills, but it will get better with time.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, so why don't you give this one a try, guys? So we've got y equals 3x, let's say, minus 6. Let's try that one. Okay, so y equals 3x minus 6. Let's see if you can try and do it. We'll try to do this one a slightly different way. Let's see if it helps a little bit. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to kind of talk this one through. So I want you to tell me, I want you to look at it. Okay, and I want you to tell me, don't panic, what is my coordinates? So I want it in brackets and I want a number and then a semicolon and then a number. What are my coordinates of my y-intercept? You don't have to do any calculations. You just have to look at the equation. What are the coordinates of my y-intercept? That's what my first question is to you here. What are the coordinates of my y-intercept? In the equation, y equals 3x minus 6. Keep them coming in the chat, guys. Coordinates. Remember, if it's coordinates, I need 2 things and they need to be in brackets. Okay. So The thing that I'm seeing in the comments, which is really great, is that you're all acknowledging that x has to be 0, which is awesome. Okay, we know x has to be 0. That's great. Then we have to look over here and we have to have a look at our y-intercept. Now, a lot of you are saying 6, which is, I can see where you're seeing the 6 from, and it's understandable, but we have to take the sign with it. Okay, so in this case, our x-intercept is going to, oh goodness, our y-intercept is going to be when x is 0, y is going to be -6. So it's always going to be that full thing. If it's a negative, that negative is going to come with it. Okay, and if it's a positive, the positive is going to come with it. Yes, it's always x and y. Exactly, good. Okay. Now I'm going to plot that point, just that one point. I'm not going to do anything else, I'm just going to plot that point. So I've got 0, so my x value is 0, and then my y value is -6. I'm going to plot that in, and I'm going to write it. 0, -6. Okay. Now we're going to spice things up a little bit. We're going to do it in a different order. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to find your x-intercept. Now for this one, you do have to do a little bit of working out. So my first thing I'm going to ask you is for your x-intercept, what is our most important thing that we need to know in order for us to work out our x-intercept? Yes, Seiko, exactly. Y is equal to 0. Okay, for our x-intercept, y has to be equal to 0. But in this equation, instead of writing y, we're going to write 0. I'm going to say 0 is equal to 3x minus 6. Now I have to try and solve for x. So we just do it like a normal equation. I'm going to move that 6 over. I'm going to have 6 is equal to 3x. Remember, it changes its sign when it jumps over. Just be careful with that. And then I'm going to divide by my coefficient of x. And so I'm going to see that x is equal to 2. Now I need to write that as my coordinates. Owami, be careful. What comes first, x or y? X always comes first. Okay, so x is 2, y is 0. That is how we find our x-intercept. And we can plot that. 2 and 0. And then we could draw this line right here. So we can always use the intercepts to draw our graphs if we have a c value. If we don't have a c value like we had in the last graph, then we can't use this method. That was why I was trying to show you something else. But let's stick with this for now. Okay. Let's just get comfortable with this before we try anything funny. Okay. I want you now, so I've kind of spoken you through this one. I want you all to try this one. Known to me, so how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. I lost you there. Nomsa, can I help?
Ma'am, I need to ask you here that if I use this expression, because I found the very same answer that you found, I said 3x minus 6 then equals to then 3 over open bracket 0 close bracket minus 6, and it gave me -6. And
yes,
then
because you're saying that x is 0. So that's
yes,
the same.
ma'am.
You made x 0, so it's exactly the same.
Oh, so ma'am, how many marks could I get?
It depends on
I use this step.
I think for the moment, let's not worry about marks just yet. Let's first just get comfortable with these, and then we'll start bringing an idea of how marks would work when we're a bit more comfortable.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, I'm seeing some really good starts here, guys. Just remember, it's always x first and then y, but I'm seeing some really good things coming into the chat, which is awesome. start by finding your y-intercept. Sorry guys, I really struggle to write on the right hand side of my screen. It's messy. And then try finding your x-intercept. Okay, so for y-intercept, we're going to have 0 and -2. If you got that one right, let me know. I want to know if you got that right and if you were able to draw it over here. If you got that, let me know. Tell me yes, tell me no, show me with emojis, but I want to know if you got that y-intercept. Cool. Yes, guys, progress, guys. You see, it's not a problem. Remember, it's always scary when we start a new section. There's no need to be stressed. It will come with time. We're only on lesson 1. Remember how stressed you guys were the first lesson of trig? And now you're like trig pros. Okay, if you didn't get it, don't panic. Just remember, this over here is your plus c. That is your y-intercept. So that's going to be this number here. And then it's always going to be 0. So it's always going to be 0. And whatever that number is over there, that's always going to be that. Okay. My x-intercept, I'm going to make my y equal to 0. So I'm going to say 0 is equal to 2x minus 2. I'm going to move that 2 over. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I'm going to see that x is equal to 1. So my coordinates are going to be 1 and 0. 1 and 0. And then I'm going to draw my line. Okay. We are pushing it for time, guys, but I'm going to give you one more. All right, last one, because our time has just disappeared tonight. Okay, last one. Same steps. Y-intercept, x-intercept, and then draw this one for me. And remember, if you had no idea what's going on and now you know 2 out of 10 of what's going on, that is progress. Everything in maths is about baby steps. I know we just had no time tonight, but I promise I'll give you a puzzle on Thursday. I promise. Our time just disappeared. It was gone. -1, -2. -1. If you substituted in x as -1, you should have gotten 2 times -1, which would be -2. So it would be -1, -4. So I think something just happened with your substitution there. Good, guys. Your answers coming in here are great. First step here, your y-intercepts. Excellent work. Okay, we know that this is +4 over here, so it's going to be 0, 4. It's going to be up here. 0, 4. Beautiful work. Beautiful. Now, second step here, I want you to find your x-intercept. So when you're finding your x-intercept, you're going to make y equal to 0. And remember, we always start our next lesson starting off with what we ended our last lesson on. So we will start with a picture like this on Thursday. It's not the last time you will see it. Good. So I'm going to substitute y as 0. So I'm going to have 0 equals -4x plus 4. I'm going to move that 4 over, and when he jumps over, his sign's going to change. So he's going to become a negative. Okay, so it's going to be -4 is equal to -4x. I'm going to divide by -4. They're going to cancel. A negative and a negative is a positive. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X is 1. Y is 0. And we have our graph. Why is it? It's not -1, it's +1. You got it, Norm, so well done. I'm so proud of you guys. Yes, progress, guys. You see, we don't need to get ourselves into a panic. We always get there by the end. Just takes a bit of time. That's what we're here for each other for. That's why we're a little maths family. Nice job, guys. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, every time it'll get a little bit better. Exactly. Progress, progress, progress. It doesn't have to be 10 out of 10. Anything that is better than how you felt at the beginning is better. I'm glad it's making a bit more sense. It just takes time. And also for some of you, you've already started this in class, and so it feels a little bit easier. And for some of you, you haven't seen this since like first term grade 9. So it just takes time. Don't panic. We've got a whole month on this, dude. Okay. Guys, our time has completely disappeared. We didn't do our puzzle, but we do have to do our poll. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to hand you over to, I'm glad it's making more sense, guys. I'm just going to hand you over to Yolanda so that she can run you through the poll. I'm still here. And you can answer questions, and then there was someone I've completely gone blank about who, but I need to talk to them about trig cast. So you know who you are. Please stay on this call once everyone's done the poll. But basically, the poll's going to come up on the screen. You're going to do the poll, and once you've done the poll, you can go and have a beautiful Tuesday evening, and I will see all your lovely faces on Thursday. But Yolanda, they are all yours.
Thank you so much, Teacher Jen. Wow, guys, well done. Hey, for the first time, learning this for the first time, and you guys have been participating and trying your best. So really, well done to you all. So I'm just launching it right now. So please do try and rate and do the poll to just see and give Teacher Jenna feedback, you know, on how was the lesson to you. So we really appreciate that. And I can see most of you have already started. Thank you so much. And when you are done with that, you can log out. Feel free to log out. So yes, keep them coming, guys. Thank you so much.
Axiom Thunder with the notes, that process is in, it is in process, but they will come onto the website when that process is done.
Okay.
Guys, we're not going to do patterns for a while, I don't think. I think definitely not this term, because we're going to do functions and then we're going to do trig functions. Bye, guys. Have a beautiful Thursday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The video is posted 24 to 48 hours after it is done. So it will be there by Thursday evening. For sure. Can I go to the first sum? I can't go to the first sum.
Okay, so after rating, you're allowed to log out.
Okay, where is my trig questionnaire? Where have you gone? Are you still here? Because now I've forgotten who it was. So you're going to have to know. Oh, Hannah. Okay. Hi, Hannah. Okay. Okay. Hannah, the cast method, some teachers bring it up in grade 10 because it does help you when you get to grade 11. But it is more of a grade 11 concept. Okay, but I'm just going to quickly talk to you about it here. Basically, all it's talking about is when we say cast, so basically, I said as all students take care, but cost is totally fine. Oh, no, sorry, I started in the wrong place. Okay, so what this is saying is it's talking about our different trig ratios, and it's saying where are they positive and where are they negative. So in all of the Cartesian plane ones that I did with you, I had drawn it in. I had shown you which quadrant it was already in. So you didn't have to think about which quadrant it was in. Okay, but if I gave you something like this, so if I gave you y is equal to, so let's just say sine theta is equal to 3/4, for example. Okay, that's telling us that sine is positive. Okay, and so then we're looking at these different quadrants, and this A stands for all, the S stands for sine, the T stands for tan, and the C stands for cos. So if we're looking at where sine is positive, sine would be positive in all, and sine would be positive in the sine quadrant. And then they would have to give us another piece of information. So then they could say, well, theta is also less than 180, but it is bigger than 90. Okay, this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, and this is 270. So this part over here is telling us, well, it has to be bigger than 90 and it has to be less than 180, which means it has to be in that quadrant. And so it's telling us that it has to be in this quadrant over here, which means we can then draw our own dots in and say that our values would be whatever our values are for x, y, and r. So it's basically just an extension of what we've done, and it's what you will definitely be doing in grade 11. But some teachers show it to you as just a little bit of help in grade 10. But in grade 10, you shouldn't have to choose your quadrant. It should just be there. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys, these questions here, let's try to zoom through them because we're over time. Monica.
Ma'am, I was asking about the trip that you just did right now. So if we were to write an exam this term, we're not going to write about it.
They should, I mean, it depends on your schools, because if it's like a private school, it's their prerogative. They want to ask about these questions. But definitely if you're in a government school, you shouldn't have to choose your quadrant because that's grade 11.
So, ma'am, this is grade 11 work.
To find the quadrant is grade 11, but to be given a point, I could give you a point like that in any quadrant. That's grade 10 work.
Okay. Ma'am, the reason I'm asking is because we already did it at school.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So some teachers say this because they're trying to help you when it gets to your grade 11 work. So it's like a way to teach it so that it doesn't feel like a scary new thing next year. But if you are learning it in school and they're telling you that's how they're going to ask it in exams, then I would do it the way that they are asking, because you don't want to not do it and then have a problem in your test.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Sandile. Eight. I don't even know which one you're talking about anymore. Now, Sandile, my brain is like gone to complete fuzz. Let's see. Here's our question. Let's see if that helps. Okay, Tashfiwa.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask. So, Mizo, you see in the first one, the second last. So our equation was to find the x and y. So the way I learned it, we just don't do the 1, 2, 3. We just find the x and the y.
That's
So
totally
what I
fine.
did was,
But
ma'am?
the problem, it's totally fine to do it that way. The only problem with it is that if we don't have a y-intercept, you can't do that because you're always going to get 0, 0, 0, 0. And then you don't have a second point. And that's why you have to, in a situation where your C is 0, you have to do number 2.
Okay, ma'am, because my answer that I got was -2, -1 and -2, miss.
As a coordinate, -1 and -2.
Yes, ma'am.
So if x was -1, then this would be -1/2 times -1, which would be equal to +1/2. So then my coordinates would be -1 and +1/2.
Okay, miss.
Okay. Okay, guys, we are calling it quits there. Try and those of you who still have questions, you're gonna have to keep them for Thursday because we are now far over time. But it has been great, and have a good evening, and we will see you on Thursday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.